Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it's Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you, which we'll get going in just a few moments right here. But as always, if you are new to these, you can always feel free to ask any questions or anything that you want. Just type those into the little chat box, and we'll either answer you live via the actual chat, or towards the end of the call, we'll have some time for a live Q&A as well, just so we don't pause the actual PowerPoint or the trainings every minute or two. But feel free to ask any of the questions you want as soon as you want, and we'll make sure that those all get answered one way or another. Alrighty. All right, so without further ado, we can get this show on the road here. I just need to click one quick thing right here. Alrighty. All right, guys, once again, welcome to this Wednesday marketing webinar call. On this one, it'll be 5 specific services that you can do to make money with WebFire. So pretty exciting call. And these ones will be more of like basically like an action plan, or like specific things you know, that you could do to turn around and kind of sell basically as a service. Now, of course, that's not the only uses for WebFire. You can, of course, I mean, there are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of things that you can do, as well as, of course, you can use these all on your own sites and such. This is just for those that are basically thinking, you know, what could they do to maybe make some money on the side or anything like that on top of their own stuff. Well, here's a handful of services and stuff that you can do with that. So once again, these calls are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is right about now. We'll have a live call and/or Q&A call. If you're here or you're registered for the series, you'll get a reminder each week, so you don't forget. If you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. And if you want a chance to win $100 today, make sure to join the free Facebook group, which you can by simply going to getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not a free member of that yet, just make sure to do that now, because you'll get approved probably within like a minute or two if you do so now. And then towards the end of this call, we'll basically give you guys a chance to win $100 live on the call itself. So we'll give away $100 in just a bit, but you have to make sure that you're a member of that free group there first. So now we can move on to the training for this week, where we'll basically cover 5 specific services that you can do to make money with WebFire. Now, if this is a topic of interest to you, make sure to check our prior calls and trainings as well, as we have several other calls and such that are focused on different ways of making money with WebFire. So don't think that these are like the only 5 or anything like that. We have several other prior calls, and we allow you to search through calls, and you could also, we have basically titles of the calls at the top, so they're pretty easy to see what's what. But if you click on the training tab, then click on the Wednesday webinars, you can see a list there with the most recent ones at the very top. So the overview will first basically talk about the 5 specific services to make money with WebFire. Then we'll have our Q&A, and then we'll give some cash away. And as always, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask those at any point in time. So first up, way number 1 is you can use the guest blog tool to start a PR service. What you do here is you create an offer where you'll basically reach out to a couple dozen or more blogs that accept guest blog posts for them. Now, keep in mind, the tool that we have inside of WebFire that does this, you basically just type in a keyword that you're looking to search for, and it will find oftentimes dozens of blogs in your niche that accept guest blog posts and such relevant to you, and it will allow you to instantly submit to all those with a click of a button. So very easy to actually find that. But normally to do that by hand, it takes a lot of time and a lot of research to kind of know what's what there. Whereas we basically take what could be like a solid day's worth of work, and it's condensed down into literally like seconds for you to actually do or to find, and minutes to do the submissions. So tons and tons of time saved. You can even create a guarantee where they'll get exposure on at least 1 or 2 blogs, or you'll keep working until they do. So that's up to you. But most of the time, just to even find like a dozen or 2 dozen places that accept guest blog posts in their niche can be a lot of work, and there's a lot of value. Where oftentimes, if they just get publicity from 1 blog, that's a huge win for them. And if you submit to a bunch of them, obviously, if you have some good content and stuff, there's a much greater chance that you'll get at least some exposure, and at least 1 or 2 or more of those will accept your guest blog post there, or that of your clients, I should say. Now, the target price, obviously, this does not mean like this is the only price that you can sell it for, but I'd say at a minimum, you don't want to sell this for less than $500. This is the kind of one that I've seen guys go from anywhere from $500 to even some that are upwards of $5,000, to even one, there's actually one guy that's probably a very unique case where he actually did a similar service, and he had a single client that was worth about $1 million for just a single deal right there. Now, most of the time, his price point would be, again, in the 500 to 5,000 range, but as you can see, in some cases, it can be worth a lot more there, depending upon the client, how big they are, what they sell, and what it's worth to them. Way number 2 is to use the lead tools to start a lead posting and commenting service to follow up on hot leads. So, as you probably know, a lot of businesses out there, oftentimes one of the number 1 things that they want are obviously new prospects, right? But they don't necessarily want to take the time to find those and reply to them, and so on and so forth. So what you can do is you can set up keyword searches for potential prospects, for people asking basically questions in their niche. And then every day, WebFire can alert you to new leads there. And what you can do is you can do at least weekly posts based on those leads for them. Now, you can do daily if you want, especially if it's like a huge niche with lots of leads. Obviously, you probably want to charge more to make sure it's more worth your time. But you can basically promise to do at least X number of posts. And the number of posts that you guarantee obviously would have to vary by the niche and the popularity. Like if you're in a big niche that might get dozens to even hundreds of leads a day, obviously they might want you to do a lot more posts, and you can charge a lot more dough. Whereas if you're in like a super small niche that like no one's really heard of, where there's only like a couple oddball leads, every now and then, you don't want to guarantee like 100 posts if there's only like 50 leads. So just, keep that in mind right there, but just use kind of common sense. Usually the larger the market, you'll get tons and tons and tons of leads. If you're in a very obscure one, obviously you get less there. But this kind of makes it hands-free, because not only do you offer to find the leads for them, but you offer to instantly follow up. And that has a lot of value, because they basically benefit by getting others essentially talking about them, funneling leads to them, gaining exposure online, and as an added bonus, they get backlinks in a lot of cases to their sites too. So, it's kind of like, imagine, if you put yourself in the eyes of basically your prospect or your potential business that's looking to hire you for this right here. Imagine that you sell I don't know, like imagine that you sell some kind of like a back pain product, or like some product to help with back pain. You know, you probably know there's a lot of people out there asking questions on it, you know, but you don't really want to take the time to find all those. You probably don't even know how, let alone take the time to basically answer them. And if there's a service where you have someone that takes time to do all that, and let's say you sell some kind of product for, you know, several $100, or, you know, even a lot more, in your eyes, it's like, well, gee, if they take the time and they do like 50 posts, let's say, they're finding 50 good prospects out there, but not only are they replying to those guys, you might have dozens to hundreds or even thousands of people in the future that might see the reply that these guys get, and that can turn into even, you know, more leads and traffic and sales and such over time. So the value is quite huge to them right there, especially when it's hands-free. And as long as they see the work being basically done, which you can do by saying, you know, hey, here's a copy of all these leads, you know, or here's, you know, a copy of the post that I have, or anything like that. They see the value being done right there. And the fact that, you know, you don't have to find these leads by hand because you're using the tools to help you with that. So you're saving a ton of time, which makes you look like, you know, because they don't have to know that you're saving all this time, it makes you look like super smart and working super hard and doing stuff that they can't do right there. And the target price you want to go in this case is, I'd say, a minimum of probably $500 to $1,000 plus per month. Now, if it's like a very small niche where there's only like, you know, a handful of leads a month, sure, you know, you could charge less, but like I definitely wouldn't go less than 300, because then it definitely would not be worth your time. But if it's a much larger business, or they're selling basically a product that's worth a lot more, where there's a lot of profit for one sale, you know, a kind of service like this is worth a lot more to them, because each lead could be worth a lot more. But for basically a ballpark range to shoot for, I'd say, you know, again, $500 to $1,000 plus per month is a good range to shoot for right here. And it's an easy kind of service that any of you can really do. Number 3, you can use the Video Firestorm tool inside of WebFire to create short, keyword-targeted videos on a monthly basis for your clients. Again, what you want to do is create short videos that are basically targeting keywords that you research with the keyword tool, and submit them each month to gain extra rankings and traffic for your clients. So it's kind of like, you know, you don't, you know, if someone has a website, you know, of course you can sell them SEO and stuff like that, which we'll talk about later. But oftentimes, like, they don't necessarily know what goes on, and if they don't know what goes on in SEO, they don't necessarily always see the value of it, even though there obviously is a ton of value in it. Whereas if you're making like 5 to 10 videos like each month, and you're submitting those, they can physically see those. They physically think, oh wow, that takes a decent amount of work right there to not only make, but to submit those and all that. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, it's easy to explain, saying, hey, you know, it's great that you have the site, but let's make you, you know, a bunch of extra, you know, content or videos to get that out there, to get additional rankings, to try to grab even more people, basically expanding your spider web to possibly grab, you know, more and more leads and stuff out there. And it's a pretty easy concept for most businesses to understand, and it's very easy to use the keyword tools inside of WebFire to see, you know, hey, what are a handful of keywords related to this niche that would be worthwhile for me to try to basically target, and then, hey, let's try to target those in the titles of our videos and stuff. Maybe use the Video Firestorm tool to create a bunch of videos where you can even turn like an article into a video, or just make a super short one. And you can start to see a lot of rankings pop up there, where, you know, a lot of businesses, when they see the videos, when they see the rankings, that adds a lot of value, and that's worth a lot to them. Whereas, you know, if you charge even $500 a month, you know, that might basically take you only basically like an hour or so of work, maybe 2 tops. but the value to them is huge. Like they think that would basically take them days and days and days worth of work, where the 500 to them would probably be cheap, especially for the right kind of business. And you can basically target keywords or common questions in the niche. You can also have basically the videos be about the product itself. For instance, let's say you did this for an online site that sold mopeds, okay, or scooters, basically. You know, if you had a bunch of common questions like, you know, what is the difference between a 50cc engine and, you know, a 100 or 150cc engine, or what's the difference between this and that, or you know, what's a good two-person moped? You know, just a whole bunch of common questions that, you know, again, you can use the keyword tool to get an idea of basically what people are searching for, but also just search for common questions asked, and just search basically forums and stuff and see what kind of stuff people are asking, knowing that if someone has that question, chances are a lot of others do as well. And then just create the short videos on them, and they don't have to be long. I mean, you can make like an easy one that's only like a minute or two long that basically answers a specific question. Like if someone wants to know, hey, what's the difference between, you know, a 50cc engine and, you know, 100 and some cc engine, then, you know, that doesn't have to be a 10-minute video explaining what the difference is. I mean, basically it would just be, hey, you know, the smaller one is less powerful, which is fine as long as you're not going up hills, and as long as it's just you and you don't have a heavy passenger, and as long as, you know, you're not a larger guy that weighs a lot more. Whereas if you know, are like a larger guy and you're over X amount of pounds, or if you have basically a passenger with you, or if there's a bunch of hills, you definitely would want this other engine right here. That took what, maybe like 30 seconds to basically explain, but it's a good answer, and it helps a lot of people that are maybe looking at a moped and don't understand, you know, what kind of engine they might want right there. So it kind of, and once you basically answer their question, they see that, oh, this is from a site that sells these, and they say, hey, if you're looking for, you know, a smaller one, this is a good model right here. If you're looking for one that can hold more weight or hold two people, this is one right here. You kind of like basically hook them into checking out your site, and after you answer their question, they're more likely to be in a buying mood because now they know even more so what specifically they want. You can even have videos or reviews on certain products that stores selling, like you know, pros and cons of a certain model moped or anything like that, if we're using the example of the moped right here. And the major benefit for these kinds of clients are they basically benefit by dominating the search engines and YouTube and such with extra content and videos that can funnel, you know, additional traffic, leads, and sales to them. And the work that you do in 1 month, it's not like you know, you do the work, they get the benefit that month, and it's basically done. The work that you do in 1 month can actually benefit them for years and years and years to come, as more and more people find those videos and such. So again, for a target price of $500 a month, that really would be a steal of a deal, and that's the kind of service that, you know, not only could you make, you know, yourself, it'd be fairly easy to outsource and stuff too, but that's the kind of service right there where you have a decent margin of profit right there. You have a huge value, and it's the kind of one where, you know, if you have an existing list that's in this niche, you can sell it to. If you want to approach, you know, local or online businesses, you know, with an offer, this is an appealing offer. If you want to approach another business out there to make like a white label deal, like let's say there's another marketer or like a business that sells to these kinds of clients, if you approach them and say, hey, I have a service that does this, this, and this, here's an example, because again, you can make an example in like less than 1 or 2 hours. You can have plenty of social proof and examples, and say, hey, here's an example of this work right here. You give those guys a special deal where they can turn around and sell it as a white label, and you have a service that you can sell, or that they can sell for you, that you can make some extra dough on right there. So again, not terribly hard. It takes a little work, but again, not tough to do at all right there. way number 4. This is kind of one of the traditional things that people think of when they think of WebFire and a service is SEO. But to really break through that, you have to have some kind of a unique twist, because there's a lot of places selling basic SEO and stuff like that. So here's one specific thing that you can do right here. First, you can offer free site analysis. And again, we have a site analysis tool inside of WebFire to help with that. So it's super, super easy. But you can offer to make a free video for any business that responds back to you to get their free site analysis. So it's kind of like get a free site analysis and get a free video. You know, that's kind of a super appealing offer for free, because if you just offer a site analysis, a lot of people say, oh, you know, I've gotten tons of offers on that, and most of the site analysis out there, they're like really dumb and not all that good. Like they're like, you know, they'll respond back saying sure, and then the site analysis will basically say, you know, you only have two backlinks and your competitors have 1,000, therefore you need more backlinks. And that's the extent of a lot of SEO analysis tools out there. And the businesses that have basically tried that are like, okay, this is really, really dumb. So even though the analysis tool you have is a million times better, you know, people have to see it to actually know that. And you want to get your foot in the door. Now, of course, you can send the site analysis out but by itself, but they still have to take the time to actually read that. But if you basically get them to respond back to you, and in exchange, just for responding back, you know, you offer to make them a free video based upon a keyword that, again, you can even use the video Firestorm tool to do, where you're basically saying, hey, you know, I'll help you rank for, you know, a common question in your niche, or a common term or anything like that that has tremendous value. Takes maybe like 5 minutes of your time, maybe 10 tops. And sure, not all of them will buy from you. You know, they won't necessarily always buy a service later, but that's okay. I mean, if there's 5 guys that, you know, you go through and only 1 actually buy, and you end up doing a free service for 5, and you make, let's say, $1,000 on the 5th one, doesn't matter that you wasted, you know, 50 minutes on, you know, several that didn't buy. No, because you just made $1,000. Because then what you then do is you can turn around and sell an SEO service or a schema making service based upon the suggestions that the site analysis tool suggested. So it's kind of like, and I'll show what a schema is, because we even though we've basically talked about that a lot, people are always asking that. It's basically where Google gives you like extra info on like a business or anything like that. And if you do the SEO report, you can see if they have a schema, you can see what's wrong with their site, and you can turn around and sell that. Whereas, you know, again, if you create an unbeatable hook, and it doesn't have to be a free video per se, like it can be any kind of a freebie that has value. But if you have an unbeatable hook where they not only get a free site analysis, but also get something else of tremendous value, like a free video made for them, like not a training one, but something made specifically for them that they can use just for responding back and checking out their analysis, again, that has tremendous value, and it's almost like a no-brainer not to write back. Now, if they're missing a schema or missing some SEO bits, you can offer a relevant service to do it all for them. They'll feel compelled to at least reply and pay attention because of the freebie. So again, they don't get anything for free unless they reply back. But once they reply back to get their free video and all that, right there, it kind of gets your foot in the door. And on top of that too, if they see that you went through all that work for free, and they see legitimately, you know, hey, they're missing some keywords in their titles, and hey, they have a bunch of other stuff wrong with their site, and hey, they're missing a schema. In their eyes, they're like, holy crap, I didn't know I was missing all this. And in their eyes, they're probably thinking that's like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of work there. So if you come back and say, hey, for $500 to $1,000 or so, you'll make a schema, or for about $300 to $1,000 a month or so, you'll do ongoing SEO. to a lot of businesses, that might seem like a pretty sweet deal. And because you basically offered stuff for free right off the bat, and you did some work to prove yourself for free right off the bat, it's kind of hard to turn you down if they see the value in that, especially if there's competitors out there. It's like, hey, do you give your business to a guy that you've never seen if they know what they're doing and they've never done anything for you, or do you give it to a guy that you've seen, they know what they're doing, and they've already given you, you know, a tremendous freebie right off the bat? Well, again, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to go with the guy that you see the value of, you see they know what they're doing, and they've already given you something for free right there. Now, I'm just going to pause it here for just a second, just so I can show off exactly what a schema is, because I know people always ask that. So just want to make sure everyone knows. Okay. All right. Just going to pull up the relevant tools right here. All right. So an example of a schema would be right here. So I search for the tennis shop right here. This was a client of ours. You see a few things. One, you see that they not only have their link here, but they have several links underneath it, like separate pages essentially. That is done through the use of a schema. Another thing is a site that has like anything like stars or a price range. Like if they have like a review, that's done through another kind of a schema, or the entire right side right here where it has like, you know, it has a map, it has their hours, it has their address, if they're a local business and whatnot. Obviously, if you're not a local business, it wouldn't look quite like this right here. But that's all done through the use of a schema. So it's like, hey, do you want to look like this guy right here, where you basically take the entire right side and the entire top right here, or do you want to look like a smaller guy without a schema, you know, down here? You know, it's a pretty easy choice. And normally, to mess around with the schema, you'd have to be a tech guy. But with WebFire, you can just go right here. If you go to SEO and keywords, go down to schema markup, and this is the schema tool right here. And you just pick basically the kind of schema you want. Like if it's a local business, it would look like this right here. And you just fill in the blanks. So super easy. Like even if you're like a restaurant, you can add a menu, you can add social media accounts on it, you can add all sorts of stuff. If you're, let's say, you just want a plain one like this, like you want the extra sites to show up right here, or the extra pages on your site, that just be a navigation one right there, and you can add multiple schemas to basically any site. If you're selling, let's say, some e-commerce stuff, and you want like reviews and prices, here's an example of what a schema can do right there. And each time you just fill in the blank right here. Like, it's not hard at all. And then after that, you just click create code, and then you add that either to WordPress or to basically any HTML site that you have. So most sites will be just, you know, plain HTML. If you use WordPress, we have another option to make it super easy there. So yeah, super easy. And, you know, regardless if you're just a blog or, you know, or if you just like a video, you can do all sorts of things to make your site stand out, where you give more info to Google. And it's a pretty easy sales pitch at that point, because again, it's kind of like, you know, do you want to be the single link guy right here at the bottom of the page or on page 2, or do you want to be like a guy at the very top where it shows a lot more info on him? It's a pretty easy pitch. And you can also, again, just use the website analysis tool, which again, you just go to SEO and keywords, and it's just analysis right there. And it can give you a breakdown of everything on that site. Now, just as a side note, so we're actually doing a new update on that, which should be out somewhat soon. Like right now, you can search like a single page on your site, because again, every page within a website can basically be optimized like by itself, which is like super useful. But in the near future, we're basically adding a feature there where you can check multiple pages on one site all at once, for multiple different kinds of keywords and stuff to make it be super, super cool right there. But even right now, you can check to see how optimized the site is for its main keyword or keywords, and it will to tell you if they have a schema, if they don't have a schema, you know, if they're missing stuff in their title tag or whatever you want, you know, right there, and you can fix the stuff very, very easily. In fact, I'll just do an example in a second here. Just has to load that up, yeah, I'll see if there's any quick questions in the meantime as it loads that. All right. This person asked, can you show us how to find a lead on Twitter? Sure. As it does that, I'll just pause this for a second, just while I open up the Twitter example here. Actually, I'll do this one first because the website analysis just loaded as I was throwing up the Twitter one. So right here, you would just basically type in any kind of keyword you want here to check if it's optimized, and then you do any website that you want right there, and then you would basically click start, and it will analyze that site for you. And I'll find a done one I have right here. Here's one I have done. So it saves the prior ones that you've done. This one is Genesis Exteriors, which is like a roofing business. So we can basically analyze that. This might take like a minute or two to load. So in the meantime, we'll do the Twitter search that a person asked for. So for leads, they ask, well, how would you find leads, and how would you find them on Twitter? Well, a few things. One, we have several lead tools right here. We have the real-time lead finder that finds leads in real time, like on forums and blogs that are basically posted recently. We have the rank lead finder that will find leads of sites that are on page 1 of Google, Yahoo, and Bing. For any keyword that you enter, it will also find several related keywords, but it'll only list off sites on page 1 that you can leave a post, comment, or reply on. So you can basically siphon traffic from page 1 and dominate page 1 without even having to get your own sites ranked right there. There's also a Q&A tool right here where you can find people asking questions and stuff, and you can answer them. But for the Twitter one, that's under social. So we could maybe move that to lead too, but we just have it under social because it's a social tool. So you click on that, and it loads up this. And all that you basically do to find leads is the first time through, you'd click on keywords and settings, which is the default, and you pick basically category. Now, most of these will just say, like, I think it's like category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, so on and so forth, and you can name them. In this case, I have these named, but these would just be basically blank for you the first time. And let's say you want to find people in back pain. You could create a new search and just call it basically back pain, and you basically type in keywords that you want to search for. So these are like what people would be basically typing. And then, you know, you can have as many as you want. Of course, the more broad you are, you know, you'll get more leads, but you might have to weed through more. The more specific you are, you'll get less leads, of course. You can also exclude stuff, like if you want to exclude certain terms or stuff like that. This is especially useful, like I usually exclude RT, which is like retweet. You can also exclude, like, let's say there's a term that can mean like more than one thing, or like let's say there's like a product that can mean more than one thing. You can exclude, you know, a word or words that are basically indicating that it might not be the one that you're basically referring to. If you want to search on a worldwide scale, you just leave this blank. If you want to search on a local scale, you click right there, and you can pick a longitude and latitude to search for, and you can get exactly what those are if you click right here. It will show like it'll walk you through how to grab exactly that off map. So it's super easy. You can also search by basically distance. I also tend to filter out links because it tends to get rid of like people that might be trying to sell versus ones that are just basically asking stuff. So we do that, then we just click save. And then after we did that, we just click leads. And these are all the people that are in back pain right now that you can choose to build a list off them just by basically clicking follow right here. They'll oftentimes auto follow you back, but regardless if they do or don't, you can reply or message them right here. Now, obviously, you don't want to spam them. You know, if you see someone complaining about back pain, you can give like a brief blurb saying, "Hey, it sucks that you're in back pain. Here's a quick article on how to help," or "Here's a video that I found super useful," or like anything like that right there. So not only can you contact that prospect right there, but you can also at the same time start to build a following or a list of basically people in back pain, in this case right here. So that's basically a short way of how to find leads for that, because there's a person that asked on that. Now, of course, you can do the same thing for like a speeding ticket. Like, let's say you have a course or a product on how to get out of a speeding ticket. These are all the people that are complaining about a speeding ticket. And you can see that, just tons and tons and tons of leads right here. I mean, there's 100 right here. And if you just click right here, you'll find 100 more. So tons and tons and tons of leads there from that tool right there. All right, so still doing the analysis right there. Yeah, and let's see if there's another question in the meantime. All right. All right, Nick asked here for the PR1, what is the measure of success in getting exposure on a blog that prospect could basically validate if the process works? Well, it's super easy. If they do the guest blog post, you get the exposure. If they don't, you don't. So don't overthink that. So like if you submit to like 10 sites or 20 sites, not all of them will do a guest blog post from you. Obviously, the better the quality you have, the more likely they are to accept your guest blog post. So you have to make sure that the quality of the post that either your prospect sends you, or your client sends you, or if you write it for them, which I charge more in that case, you have to make sure it's really good right there. But depending upon what you charge, I mean, for like a $500 to $1,000 fee, if they get exposure on even 1 or 2 blogs, that's pretty good right there, because this is probably a place that had 0 exposure prior, and any kind of exposure can help them in multiple ways right there. So again, just keep that in mind right there. All right, see what other questions we have. All right, how do we access replays? Super easy. All you do is, well, here, I'll just go to this screen because I can't do that when that is loading right there. It's almost done. You just go to the training right here. Then you click on the Wednesday ones, and the most recent ones will be up here. And today's call, you'll see at the very top right there, probably by tomorrow at the latest. And you can also search these too by basically typing in a keyword right there, and it'll show some relevant ones. Like if you want to find stuff on SEO, you'll find basically relevant ones right there on any topic of your choice. Or if you want to do like affiliate marketing, you can type in affiliate and find some ones right there. If you want to do stuff on services, there's a whole bunch of stuff right there. So again, kind of neat right there, where you can pinpoint exactly what you want right there. Now, this is the site analysis right here. And again, it can take like a minute or two or three or more in some cases to do the analysis. But this is one where, again, if you hand out a report like this, which again, you can basically download this as a PDF and even brand it to you. It gives you like a quick overview, like right here, like what percentage it's optimized. You don't have to be 100. In fact, it's almost impossible to get 100 because every keyword's basically different. But if you're like close to 80, that's pretty good right there. But it gives you like, hey, if you're trying to rank for, in this case, I had roof replacement, Madison, Wisconsin. So if that was a keyword that you were trying to basically target, it's like, uh-oh, you don't have the keyword in your title tag. You don't have it in your description. You can fix all that for them right here. But the cool part is, on the report that you give them, it will basically say, hey, you don't have this here. This is why this is important if you're trying to rank. If you want to rank for this term, you might want to consider having this in your title tag. Now, naturally, a lot of these guys don't know how to do that. That's why you can turn around and sell that kind of service for them, and you can quickly and easily basically do it right here. And for this, for basically the schema tool that we talked about, in this case, they have a schema tool, or not that, they have a schema, I should say, not a schema tool. A lot of times sites won't, and you can quickly and easily make them one and sell them one if so. So just again, and oftentimes, even if they have one, they might need more, because again, there's multiple different kinds of schemas and such right there. And there's all sorts of different info that you can get on them too right there. And a related kind of service that you can do too. Keep in mind, like, you don't have to just do an SEO service. You can also say like, hey, it looks like on social media they're not really mentioned much. Well, guess what? You can offer a social media management service. You can even, if you want to have like a really awesome hook, you can even say, hey, the first two weeks are completely free, just so you can test it out or anything like that. I mean, if you give them an unbeatable hook, especially if you have like them in some kind of like a reoccurring opportunity, that can work, quite well as well for you, especially if you're targeting like the right kind of prospects and such right there. And again, we have under the social right here, we have the poster fire tool right here, which can automatically help manage, Facebook and Twitter and all that, as well as LinkedIn and stuff for you right there, or for your clients. So I'm just going to pause the screen for a second as I go on back to the slides. So I just wanted to clarify that right there. And again, guys, like, this is like the kind of stuff where, we're talking hundreds of dollars to even 1,000 plus for a single sale right here. A lot of times even per month right here as well. So it's worth your time to try to go after these prospects. It's worth your time, to really put some effort into this right here, because a single sale can be worth a lot of money, where you don't really have to take a ton of time to do this. And keep in mind, like, you don't necessarily have to chase down prospects and stuff yourself here. You can also create a service and turn around and reach out to basically other marketers or other businesses and stuff that sell stuff not competing with yours, but in a similar market to comparable prospects, and you can offer like a white label service for them to resell what you have. And obviously you have to give them a decent cut right there, but that's another opportunity where you can create a service and sell it without having to actively market it yourself as well. Now, the final way, way 5, is to create sites and videos that you rank yourself in various niches. Even local is fine. And in fact, in a lot of cases, it's like super, super easy to rank on a local scale. And then sell them off or use them yourself if sold. Now, this can work whether you're trying to target like global terms or even like local ones, but local ones are super easy because it's not terribly tough to rank for a lot of local terms. Like if you're like, let's say a moped, or let's say you have a prospect that sells mopeds on a local scale or sells mopeds online. In both cases, they can be great prospects, but the local one is even easier to rank for because there's not a lot of people trying to target words like mopeds for sale, Atlanta, Georgia, or moped dealership, Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever it might be. Those are, again, much easier oftentimes to rank for, but the value to a business that deals in that is huge. So if they're, let's say, a moped dealer in Atlanta, you can bet that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that, gee, I probably want that keyword, or that's probably a good keyword to rank for. And it sometimes can be hard to sell them on the fact that you can get those rankings for them on their sites. But if you're selling a pre-ranked site or video, you don't need the social proof. It's kind of like, if you're hungry for a pizza, do you walk up to a random guy and say, hey, I'll pay you basically $15 if you can make a pizza, and hope that he can make you a pizza? Now, he might be the best pizza maker in the world, and he might be the crappiest one that doesn't know how to make anything. But it's tougher to make that sale if you don't see anything. It's tougher to trust that that guy will make a pizza if it's a random dude. Whereas if it's a pizza stand and the guy has a pizza in front of you and it's the exact same kind that you like, it's your favorite one with your favorite toppings and everything, you don't have to trust that he's able to make that, because you see it with your own eyes right there. So it's a pretty easy sale to give that guy the $15 or so for that pizza that you want right there. Again, it's not that tough to make either like blogs or videos. All you basically do is you do the keyword research to see what keywords are easier to rank for and get at least some traffic, and then you target those in the title of of your videos, or in the titles of your blog posts or your web pages or anything like that. You can even make like free blogger.com blogs. I would still buy like a domain name, but you can even make like free or cheap blogs and have like 5 blog posts on each one, where each blog post targets a different keyword that you're trying to rank for in the title somewhere, and you have a very good chance of ranking, especially if you use the SEO plugins and the tools that we have to help with that. So again, you use what you know about SEO and all of the tools, including the keyword research, to target the easiest and best keywords to rank sites and videos for, and then just make them. And once you get them ranked, reach out to relevant prospects to try to sell them on that. Or if you have a larger audience, you can even sell them on sites like flippa.com, which is like a site that you can resell websites and stuff on, where obviously if you have like a local term, you wouldn't want to list it on a place like that, because 99.9999% of the audience wouldn't care about a localized listing, whereas you might have like 20 local businesses that would love it but have probably never heard of Flippa. Whereas so if it's like a local one, you can go straight to the prospects themselves. If it's a general audience one, you can list it on a site like that right there. And as a side note, if you don't want to do the work ahead of time, which I'd encourage you to, at least for like the first couple, because it gives you some awesome experience and whatnot. But you can even turn this around into a service where you make custom blogs and rankings and stuff, where you guarantee that, hey, you'll make them a blog from scratch and you'll rank it for at least 1 or 2 of the keywords from the list, and you guarantee it. And then you charge them either for the service like that, or if you want to do the work ahead of time, you charge them for the site that you already have made that's already ranking. And now for a target price, I'd say if you're selling a ranked site, that's like a done for you site. That's what basically the DFY stands for, done for users, all hands free. A minimum of probably $1,000 to $3,000 or more for a done for you ranked site. Now for a popular term, obviously you can charge a lot more. For a smaller term, $1,000 to $3,000 is a good range right there. Now for a video, if you just want to do the same concept but on a video, so you have a done for you ranked video, in that case, of course it depends upon the keyword and all that, but realistically 250 to 500 plus or more would be a good range to try to shoot for in there, because the value of the site oftentimes is perceived as higher, but again, it's super easy to do basically both of these right there. And again, all of these are things that you can either sell to basically lots of prospects yourselves. You can sell it to your own list. You can go out to actual prospects out there, or try to make white label type deals with other marketers and stuff out there. So with that, guys, I will move on to the part where if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask those now, and then we'll give some cash away shortly there afterwards. Now, to get a chance to get some cash, you have to go to this link right here, getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. That will just forward you to the free Facebook group page where you click join if you're not a member, and you'll get approved probably within like a minute or two. Again, it's all free. And Sharon has a post at the very top basically asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave any comment within that post, so try not to leave a comment outside, try to leave it within that post right there. So just click basically the comment within that post. We'll pick a random winner from the comments in a live random drawing in just a few minutes right here. But in the meantime, Sean, are there any questions that you've seen that have popped
There's
up?
like a million questions.
See that? All right. Well,
thankfully I answered all but 4 of them.
All righty.
So life is easier. Sharon, can you help Melissa, please, because you have the answer to her question. Daniel asked how to most effectively find the businesses to sell the services to.
Sure. Well, it depends on what you're trying to sell to. Like, for instance, if you're making like a done for you rank site, like let's say you want to rank for a bunch of dentist type terms, and you're trying to target, you know, dentists in like a local area. Obviously, who would be the best guy to reach out to? Probably all the dentists in the local area there. And it's not that hard to actually find leads there. You can do basically a Google search, spend a little time, and find tons of contact info right there, including emails. We also have some tools like we have Lead Power Machine, which can find local business leads and stuff too, based upon any keyword in any local area that you want. And you can find, you know, their email, you can find their phone, you can find all that stuff right there. So that's not tough. Now, if you're trying to sell, let's say it's just like a basic SEO service. So it's not specifically, you know, like a pre-ranked site or anything like that. One way that can work well is if you niche it down and say, hey, this week you want to focus on, let's say, dentists, okay? And you can create like just like a simple email pitch where if you even want, you can create like a video where you kind of walk through and you show, hey, these are why some of these dentists rank well, and these are why a lot of them don't. A lot of ones that don't have these terms right here in their title tags. They don't have this, they don't have that. And just go through like, you know, 2 or 3 of the basics, which usually are the title tags, usually are the keywords in the content, just basic stuff like that, and then present your offer there where it's like, you know, hey, if you'd like, I'd be happy to give you a free analysis on your specific site and tell you what I found that you know, is good and bad, and what you could do to get that fixed. It is completely free. You don't have to pay anything. You're under no obligation to talk to me or anything like that. But if you do decide to write back and have any questions just for writing back to me, I'd be happy to also make you a custom video where we'll get that ranked for you as well to get some traffic and such. And that's a very appealing offer that if you just you know, email just a handful of prospects out there, you'd have a good chance of getting some response back right there. Now, another option is you could do like a white label deal where you reach out to other marketers or other businesses that sell to those kinds of leads or clients, and you try to do a deal with them where they can resell basically your service under their own name, and they get like, you know, a decent cut of each sale. You know, you want to give as large a cut as possible. That makes sense because then they're more likely to do that deal with you. So in that case, you can find tons of clients on an ongoing basis just by trying to make a deal with 1 or 2. And again, you can do a little research to see who the larger businesses or who the larger players and such are in your niche just by using Google and just seeing, you know, hey, what appears to be some larger sites or some larger marketers or anything like that out there, do a little research, reach out to them, and when you contact them, make sure that the proposal you have, is short and sweet, but at the same time, have it set so you're doing like basically almost all of the work, and they're able to get paid, and it's hands-free, and they get basically, the most benefit out of the whole thing, because that makes it kind of a done deal right there. Lastly, there's also ways where, if you want to post this up on social media, there's like Facebook groups and stuff that you can join. And if you just start to answer people's questions and stuff, you're not trying to spam them, but if you just answer their questions and stuff, over time, you start to get viewed as the expert right there. And you can send them to like if they're basically asking how to rank or asking on whatever you want, you can send them to like blog posts you have or videos you have where it walks them through how to do some stuff. But each time they can have like a little pitch at the very end into services or stuff that you can do. You can also, there's a handful of forums and stuff out there, as well as classified sites that have specific sections for actually posting services that you sell as well. And you can post those up right there too, and oftentimes I get some sales that way as well. Anything else, Sean? You said there's a few more.
Yes. So hang on, somebody asked the same question like 6 times, so it moved everything up. Okay, Virginia asked, how do you sell a ranked video, or how do they get it to their YouTube channel?
Well, how you sell it would be basically the exact same way that I just said, virtually the exact same thing. As far as how you get that, so there's a few options that you can do with that. So one, you can choose to make a separate video and channel for each one, and then just sell that and hand that over. Or you can choose to hand over the video, knowing that realistically oftentimes the rankings change. Or if you sell a service where you make it for them, you just would basically post it on their channel and such. So there's a few different options right there, but that's kind of like, don't overthink that part, because that's kind of like it's kind of like basically asking how you'd get paid. You can get paid anyway, and I'm sure there's probably a couple guys that probably asking that. You can get paid any way you want. Just like it's up to you if you want to like post it on their channel, if you want to hand everything over to them, or if you want them to rent it, or whatever you want right there. So there's lots of options there.
Okay, and last but not least, does the large right-hand side schema only show up if you're the #1 ranked site?
No, so the kind of schema can actually vary a lot. So it can sometimes like be not quite the entire right side. It can sometimes be at like the very top, and it might be shared with like 2 or 3 sites. So it varies depending upon a lot of factors, but basically in a nutshell, if you have a schema there, you're far more likely to have the site get a lot more exposure and show up in a nicer way. If you don't have a schema there, you're likely to get ignored. So that's kind of like the short answer. So it's like if there's like, let's say you search for like a Chinese restaurant in a decent sized town or city, chances are there's a few of them. Or in a larger city, there might be like 100 of them. And if it's not like it will just show one, but it might show at like the very top. It might have several listings where it will have their hours. It will have like a click to a call. It will have like a click to see the menu. That's all done through the use of a schema. And usually those are the ones that have a schema there. If they don't, they'll be showing up on like the very bottom or on page 2 or 3, or not at all. So it won't always guarantee you that you'll be the only guy there, but it's basically like, would you rather have a chance of being at the top and having lots of info on you, or would you rather be almost guaranteed to be essentially kicked out of top rankings?
Okay, that's good. Let's give away money.
All righty. All right, sounds good. Pause the screen for a second. And again, guys, You just have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group to join the free Facebook group. I'm just going to refresh the screen really quick. All right. All right. So if you scroll down, you see this post from Sharon right here. And to leave a comment, you just click on the comment right here. Then you just write basically your comment right there. And I'll give you guys maybe 10 more seconds to leave a comment to make sure it's within this post right here. And I'll pick a winner in 10 seconds. So we'll do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, some posted in the wrong one. That's okay. I will count the couple that are outside, but make sure it's try to here. All right. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I will refresh. Sometimes that picks up 1 or 2 extra. All right. Oh, I forgot. With the new update on Facebook, it doesn't show the number. All right, so we have 2 plus.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can't count that high.
Yeah. So there's 47 within here. And a couple outside. 1. All right. 2, 3 plus 47, so there'd be 50 in total. Okay. 150. And Sean, what is your guess?
49.
49.
I got this to this week. Watch this. Bam!
9. You got half of it.
Oh, I was
right?
close. I was close on this one.
All right. 9. 1.
Thank God
2,
I don't have to get
3,
paid for
4,
guessing.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So, April J.
Go ahead. April, if you look like Paris.
If this is you and you have a picture of London as well as Paris, and you're self-employed and you liked the 4th and 5th money making options, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or you will be, as soon as you post up your PayPal email to Sharon in the chat box. So again, congratulations to April J for being this week's Wednesday Marketing Webinar winner. So again, thanks much to the rest of you as well. We always appreciate your feedback, and if there's any topics that you guys want to see basically covered on a future call, let us know, because we're completely open to any ideas that you have. So if there's a topic, let us know. Just write support@webfire.com and say, hey, here's basically a topic or suggestion I have. You can also search in the members area under the training tab. You can search for prior calls too, because chances are there's like a lot of topics that we have basically covered a lot of times, but you might not have seen yet. But if there's anything that you think you'd like, or that you think should be clarified more, or anything like that, let us know, and we'll try to make that happen. So once again, guys, thanks for all of you for joining on this week's call. If you have any other questions, again, feel free to reach out to us at just support@webfire.com. And we look forward to seeing you again next week at Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, as always. So with that, guys, have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.